Welcome to the Gavel. I am Terry Ikumi. Full legislative activities have commenced in the National Assembly following the conclusion of political parties' primaries. Now, in the House of Representatives, the result of the primaries was evident from the letters of defection by members before the Speaker, one of which was from the minority leader, Kingsley Chinda, who emerged as the ruling party's candidate for the 2027 governorship election in Rivers State. The Speaker clearly highlighted the date on the letter.
I write to formally tender my resignation from the position of minority leader of the House of Representatives with effect from the date herein, being 23rd day of April 2026. It has been a profound honor and privilege to serve in this capacity, representing the collective interest of the minority caucus and contributing to the legislative work of the House.
Representative Kingsley Chinda had been criticized for secretly joining the ruling party while maintaining his position as minority leader of the House as a member of the opposition People's Democratic Party. Now, consequently, following his defection, he resigned his position as minority leader. Several other defections were recorded in the House, largely from one opposition party to another. And as the House settled down to the business of the day, attention quickly shifted to the murder of a teacher and the abduction of students in Oyo State.
The House is convinced that every day we delay implementing the adopted resolution will leave our people defenseless before an enemy that grows bolder, and that the same centralized Abuja commanding policing model that failed Michael Oyedeokun will fail the next teacher, the next people, and the next family, unless this House finds the courage to act now. Thus, the House resolves, 1, to recall with the full weight and urgency of this House on the federal government and all security agencies to bring our remaining sons and daughters and teachers home alive without further delay. For every hour lost is an hour in which we risk losing them forever.
Lawmakers also received and approved a similar motion on the abduction of 42 students in Borno State.
The House resolved to, 1, urge the federal government and all relevant security agencies to take immediate and decisive action to rescue the 42 adopted school children from Musa Ward, Askira-Uba local government area, as well as other persons currently held in captivity, and reunite them with their families. The House called on the federal government to strengthen security around schools in Borno State and other vulnerable parts of the country.
In the Red Chamber, the President of the Senate welcomed lawmakers with a solemn speech.
The abduction of school children and teachers in Oyo State, this is not merely an attack on innocent citizens. It is an assault on our collective humanity. We mourn because if we cannot protect our children, we imperil our future. We mourn because a nation that cannot guarantee the safety of its teachers weakens the very foundation upon which education rests. As we mourn because for as long as those children remain in captivity, our nation remains captive with them. Today we grieve the loss of 2 dedicated educators, Mr. Michael Oyedeokun, who died in captivity, and Mr. Adeshan Adeboye, who lost his life during the attack. We also mourn the child whose life was cut short before its promise could be fulfilled. Their collective loss is our loss. Their sorrow is our sorrow. Their pain is our pain. Yet, even in the midst of grief, we remain hopeful that through the determined efforts of this government, that those in captivity are rescued safely and reunited with their loved ones.
He also seized the moment to rekindle the subject of a national security summit.
This Senate, the 10th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, did not falter. When leadership was required, this Senate did so and did not shrink. And when duty called, the Senate answered. It is on that note that I want to employ the leader of the Senate to quickly fix a date for us to conclude our security summit, which we have started in various states of the Federation, so that we can go into serious discussion and now have that security summit with a view to submitting our own views and resolutions and what we think we can do to further add strength to what the security services are doing.
A 1-minute silence was then observed for those who had lost their lives.
And the souls of all departed rest in perfect peace.
The Senate President cautioned lawmakers against taking advantage of the situation to score political points and had a word for the 47 senators who lost their party tickets.
I know that there will always be victories and disappointments, yet above every individual triumph stands a greater triumph, the triumph of democracy itself. And in this Senate, we are promised that we will have very few disappointments. And I do know that the Senate leader and the leadership of the Senate is working very hard towards that. So in advance, I will say congratulations to all of us across party lines.
The Senate then moved into a closed-door session, after which an ad hoc committee was constituted to address the issue of project execution and unpaid contractors across the country, and expected to report back within 1 week. The following day, the Senate resumed deliberations on the abductions in Oyo State. And following a motion raised by Senator Buhari, lawmakers in a debate sustained pressure on security agencies and subnationals to secure their release amid the lingering security situation.
The Senate note with grave alarm and deep national outrage the abduction of 49 people comprising school children, teachers, and toddlers by armed kidnapper in Aure Siele, adjoining community in Orire local government of Oyo State. Deeply disturbed that among those held in captivity is a toddler 2 years of age, and vulnerable underscore the cruelty and inhumanity of the perpetrator. Saddened that one of the victims of the brutal attack, Mr. Michael Oyedokun, a mathematician, teacher, was beheaded in a gruesome manner and recorded for the public to watch. This was the most barbaric act which has struck fear into the people of the area and the state at large, and even in Nigeria. Concerned that the incident has generated anxiety in the public outreach, while raising serious concern about the security of school and rural community across the Federation. Observe that even school become hunting ground for criminal, the future of the nation itself is in trouble. Condemn in the strongest possible term the abduction of the school children, teachers, toddlers in Orire local government area of Oyo State, and commensurate with the affected family, community, and the government of Oyo State. Urge the federal government through all relevant security agencies to intensify effort and deploy all necessary resources for the immediate rescue and release of the victims. Call on the federal government to strengthen and expand the Safe School initiative through enhanced surveillance, intelligence gathering, and improved security deployment around vulnerable schools and community across the country. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is sad that these criminal and evil-minded people are now everywhere in our country.
This same bandit entered a community in my senatorial district, Ayedon, Borno, and they kidnapped about 28 people. In fact, it's a daily occurrence in my state, but we cannot talk much. My point is, the federal government proposed issue of state police and also forestry guard. We have not been able to put that into action in terms of bringing it into law.
It is high time now that Mr. President, in his wisdom, call the service chiefs to account for the resources that this National Assembly have been budgeting for. Because if this is not done, the issue of overcoming this issue of security is going to be a child's play. Today, go and check the economy. Go and check how the economy plays. Today, if you look at the indices that even give the growth to our GDP and areas where these expenditures are going, you will see that real estate is playing a role in this country. Who are the owners of these real estates? How does the resources come?
However, one senator took it a step further by calling for an audit of the military.
We were shocked about war kidnapping that took place in Kebbi. And it was reported, and the governor of Kebbi State cried aloud that military personnel that were in that particular school were ordered to be withdrawn. And about 40 minutes later, the kidnappers came and cut away about 200, I can't remember exactly the number of children. This Senate, under your leadership, we passed a resolution that the military high command should disclose the name of that officer, the action that had been taken against him, to satisfy us that that action was not willful, or that people who are trusted to protect us, that some of them have not become part of our problem. Mr. President, I have always tried to be present in every day that this Senate sits. As I speak, I am not aware that we have gotten a response to that simple inquiry. If the armed forces is not accountable, if we do not carry out due audit and oversight on resources that we have all been blackmailed to appropriate, we need to carry out security audit. Money appropriated, who got what, how was it used? And I insist that this Senate is entitled to have a reply to the question we unanimously ask.
Interestingly, the proposal was not adopted. The lawmakers were not done yet, as another alarm was raised by Senator Sadiq Umar following reports of recurring killings, kidnappings and attacks on the palace of the Emir of Rashikira in Kwara State.
The Senate, aware that on the eve of recent Salah celebrations, armed criminals attacked and set ablaze the palace of the Emir of Yashikira in Baruten local government, abducting several members of his family, including some of his wives and children, thereby undermining the sanctity of traditional institutions and threatening communal peace. The Senate also aware that the communities within particular local government area have continued to experience intermittent attacks and kidnappings, creating an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty among residents. The Senate further aware that several villages within the local government area in Kwara North have equally come under attack. And in a disturbing development, criminal elements recently invaded Lafiagi Township, killing and abducting residents in a clear demonstration of growing boldness and operational capacity of these criminal groups. The persistent nature of these attacks indicates the need for enhanced security presence and coordinated operations in the affected areas.
The Senate then proceeded to adopt a resolution after a motion sponsored by Senator Dachung Pam asked the National Orientation Agency to renew campaigns to promote discipline and respect for the rule of law, establishing correlation between indiscipline and insecurity.
When our children are disciplined, I believe strongly they will not go into criminality, they will not go into banditry, and they will shun all sorts of vices that will bring reproach to Nigeria and their families, but rather they will engage in things that will bring pride to their families.
Welcome back to the Gavel. On Thursday in the House of Representatives, the attention of the House was drawn to an alleged violation of the provisions of the 1999 Constitution, which requires public officers seeking elective positions to resign, withdraw, or retire from public office within a stipulated period before an election.
The House notes that the Director General, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILS, Professor Abubakar Osleiman, joined, participated, and deeply involved in the partisan politics in exercise of his civic rights as Nigerian. The said Director General purchased gubernatorial expression of interest and nomination forms, submitted duly completed forms, and participated in the screening exercise.
The House resolved to investigate the matter before taking a decision. In a separate motion,
a bill for an act to amend the South-South Development Commission Establishment Act 2025 to provide additional funding for the Commission and related matters. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
So with your kind permission, we go ahead and put the question. Those in support of this bill for second reading say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. That is have it.
in the meantime, the House considered and approved a motion on the need to stop the constant rejection of National Youth Service Corps members by government officers.
The scheme, which is designed to provide willing workforce to the public and private sector, is currently facing setbacks as government establishments are rejecting NYSC Corps members, denying them service opportunities and experience. This has left many graduates vulnerable to exploitation by private firms and crime.
The House calls on all ministries, departments, and agencies of government, including the National Assembly, to stop the idea of rejecting corps members, but rather develop work schedules to accommodate them. Meanwhile, following reports of the nomination of Honorable Ikenga Ugochinyere by 61 members of the House as new minority leader, one lawmaker alleged that his signature was forged in the documents in circulation.
My legislative privilege has been breached because this amounts to forgery for my signature to be used for purposes which not intended for. Mr. Speaker, I want to seek the leave of this House to probe and investigate.
Representative Ugochinyere responds, sparking a rowdy session.
Mr. Speaker, my brother arrived from Benue late for our meeting, met me in the office, in the presence of some of my colleagues that I will bring forward, and voluntarily, on his own and independently, pledged and signed my nomination for the post of minority leader.
I never did, Mr. Ikenga.
Mr. Speaker.
I never did that, Mr. Ikenga.
Mr. Speaker.
I never did that.
We already have agreed to leave by 2 o'clock. Let us leave everything. If there are issues, let's discuss there. Please, I beg you.
What we are seeing here, what has happened now, Ugochunyere's vaulting ambition is as a result of this House's tolerance of the kind of chicanery that he has brought to this House.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
There is no way.
Point of order.
There is no way.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. No, this is not acceptable.
This man cannot be a prison officer by both convention on the rules.
Mr. Speaker.
The matter was eventually put to rest in anticipation of the meeting with members of the Minority Caucus proposed by the Speaker. We're following up on a video in circulation showing that indeed Representative Philip Agbese signed a document, perhaps the one he's refuting. We hear the video was put out by Representative Ikenga Ugochinyere. But the emphasis perhaps should be placed on the debate of Representative Solomon Bob, who insists that Ikenga Ugochinyere cannot be a principal officer as a first-timer. Now, according to the standing orders of the House, while the presiding officers, the Speaker and Deputy Speaker, are elected by the entire House body, the appointment of caucus leaders and principal officers is governed by rules on internal caucus nomination. Under these provisions, precedence is given to ranking members who have accumulated parliamentary exposure, institutional memory, and years of service in the legislative chamber. It's time now for Constituency Focus.
I'm happy you followed my campaign. It was tough then. I said to our people that, as political leaders, we owe our people at least the truth. That we must properly define empowerment. I do not think that buying a motorbike, 1, 2, 3, 4 motorbikes for 2,000 youths to share across wards, that is empowerment. Because the youth is not going to acquire any skill. And a motorbike for me is not an acceptable mode of mass transportation. When I was governor of Edo State, I actually ended up prohibiting the use of motorbike for commercial purpose. Because I got security report about the use of motorbike for certain crimes, but much more importantly, because even motor vehicles too can be used and are being used to perpetrate crime. But the deciding factor was the fact that when I visited the hospitals, both UBTH and Central Hospital, about 70% of patients in the hospital, including orthopedic patients, were victims of motorbikes. The essence of my being in the Senate is not to count the number of sewing machines that I give to put widows. In fact, it's not only widows that are poor. The average rural woman is poor because of the nature of our economic system. Your husband manages 1 hectare, and then after the farming season, you use it to produce groundnut, and you sell it in local market. It's just subsistence farming. And so I said to them, I want to deal with those factors that will enable them live their life better. Because our people are not lazy. And they are not asking government to create a long dining table for them to queue in the evening and be spoon-fed. They just want government to deal with the big issues of infrastructure, beginning now with security. Because of the condition of the roads in Edo State, the federal road particularly, the one connecting my constituency to Benin and connecting my constituency to Okene and Lokoja. These are roads that are central to the economic life of our people, because when they go to the farm, they work so hard and they are blessed with good harvest. Those who buy, who come to the 7-day market to buy, they take it to Benin or they bring it to Abuja. When the roads are blocked, this item tends to get perished. And I said, I will work along with the other 2 senators from Edo State, but if I can, I will also persuade our neighboring senators from Delta and from Kogi, that all of us should see this road connecting Delta Edo to the north as our first constituency project. By getting the federal government to complete the road, the dualization of that road has been on for 16 years. I got through about 3 or 4 presidents. Of course, it's easier in terms of quick wins for TV show. The cost of building a kilometer of road, I can buy maybe 3,000 motorbikes and then line them up, bring a channel television. These are my constituency projects. Line up the youths and be giving them as if I'm a donor. And so 2 years down the road, half of the motorbikes are dead. The youths are confused. Shumoli Tenyo has said that they're waiting for the next senator. No. We should cautiously take them out of poverty by dealing with those basic things. I also believe that in all my own constituency things, I provide for, if you have a market, you should have a school, you build a school, you should also try and see if you can provide for toilets and school halls and so on. We are rather than building village town hall for a community. How many times do they hold meeting in a typical village? You can build a hall for the students to do the assembly, and during festivals when the community needs to assemble, they can also use that hall.
Well, that's all the time we have on the Gavel. Thanks for watching. Send feedback to thegavel@channelstv.com. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.